Coming to you from the Frank Lacroix Arena in Beacon Hill in Fort McMurray, the Brooks Bandits are finishing up their morning skate just in behind us. I'm Tyler King alongside Nathan Crosby as we get set for hockey from Fort McMurray tonight. The Brooks Bandits will take on the Oil Barons at 7:30. They've got the Bonnyville Pontiacs coming up tomorrow night as well. But Nathan, these two teams, Brooks and Fort McMurray, have already played each other once. It was not a close one by any stretch. 7 goals for the Bandits, one of their widest margin wins of the entire year. But that to me was a very different Fort McMurray team. You're talking about a team that had some of its best players injured. They barely got more than a few shifts out of Will Connolly. Their goaltender Eric Suter had a very off night. The Bandits ought to be expecting something very different tonight because not only is Fort McMurray a good team, they're very good in their own barn too.
They are, and I think we were all a little surprised by the result on December 16th, the last game before Christmas for both teams, and maybe Fort Mac looking ahead into that Christmas break a little early when they came into the CRA. They looked completely dejected from that game after the first period where the Bandits just came out and scorched them in the ugly Christmas sweater night. It was an ugly one for Fort McMurray, and I would be very surprised if we see a similar result tonight. Casman Center, always a tough place to play, and the Oil Barons, a team that you really have to make the most of your opportunities. They're disciplined, they don't take a lot of penalties, and I think with also who we didn't see that night for Fort McMurray will be a big difference tonight.
Yeah, a great defenseman in J.C. Tavieres was out of the lineup. He's been in and out of the lineup for Fort McMurray as of late. Will Connolly really is the big name though. I mean, he didn't get to play most of that game up in Brooks, but when he did, he had a big hit, he had a scoring chance, and then unfortunately for him had to leave the game. His is perhaps one of the most interesting stat lines in the AJHL this year, Nathan. 30 goals on the season, not a single one on the power play. You already mentioned Fort McMurray is a disciplined team. There won't be much special teams tonight. A guy like Will Connolly can break the game open at even strength. I mean, a former Bandit is really going to be the key to the Bandits being able to overcome Fort McMurray tonight.
Yeah, so when you think of Fort McMurray, you think of great goaltending. You think of Eric Suter, a veteran in this league, who obviously didn't have his best night when the Bandits and Barons last faced each other. But the scoring on this team is not to be underestimated, and Will Connolly certainly leads the charge in that category. I'm interested to see, though, the depth of this Oil Barons team, if some other contributors can step up in their lineup tonight, because I think that will make a big difference, especially with the Bandits, the way they've been playing lately. Their depth has been making a difference in games, so that's going to be on Fort McMurray for some of their depth scoring to make the most of the new year.
And that's been the case for Fort McMurray and a lot of their wins. So too for Brooks. I mean, both these teams are coming in on big win streaks. Fort McMurray winning 6 straight, having a great start to the new year. Brooks having won 4 straight. And for both teams, they do get scoring from the unusual suspects, as it were, especially for Brooks, where we can't stop talking about how good Louis Jamernick, Mac Hancock, and Ryan Massey have been as a scoring unit. Not really seen as a depth guy, but Arnaud Vachon was a huge reason why they beat the Camrose Kodiaks in their last home game. These are the kinds of names the Bandits have to keep hearing good things from if they're going to beat Fort McMurray tonight, probably.
Yeah, and look, a week ago when the Olds Grizzlies were in Brooks, and it was that fourth line, that young line, Massey, Jamernick, and Mac Hancock, who had just come from Brockville in that Carangelo trade. They were the difference that night. They were sensational. Louis Jamernick, of course, had a hat trick, a 4-point night. Mac Hancock didn't look out of place at all for his first game in a Bandit uniform. But at the same time, as great as it is that your young line is contributing like that, should they be the difference in a game, or should it be some of your other guys? Arnaud Vachon, I mean, what a game he had Saturday against the Camrose Kodiaks, scoring a beautiful overtime winner with 15 seconds left to go in the extra frame. Nathan Plessy is another guy that I have my eye on in this one. 6 2-point games since coming back from the Christmas. He's been on fire lately, and I look to him to keep up his strong play. But also, Tyler, that top line, Nick Hamry, Connor Jean, Nolan Thompson, if that's what Ryan Papuano decides to go with, they will also need to refine their scoring touch.
And not just at even strength, but on the power play as well. And that was kind of a bit of a stumbling block for the Bandits last time around. The power play, we thought it had returned to form. The team had changed up their units. And then all of a sudden against Camrose, it's a real tough night, including a 5-minute major they couldn't convert on. Fort McMurray does not give you a lot of chances. The North Division in general, you don't see a lot of special teams opportunities. So although that might mean special teams won't be as key to the game, realistically it means you have to make the most of the opportunities you get. The Bandits will have to be good when they get a man advantage opportunity tonight.
Yeah, I mean, that game against Camrose, I mean, you get that 5-minute power play in the third and you can't convert. I haven't asked Ryan Papuano about that power play yet, and I'm a little scared. I might have to duck when I ask that question. But certainly that was an ugly point of the game, and the Bandits were fortunate enough to get 2 points away from that. But Tyler, I thought that before that Camrose game on Saturday, the Bandits power play had started to show signs of life They had scored a couple in the 2 games against Olds on the man advantage. And as we said at the beginning of this video, Fort McMurray's not a team that takes a lot of penalties. And the power play was successful just before the Christmas break for the Bandits against the Barons. That could be a huge factor tonight because obviously power plays will be at a premium.
Now, lots of things we don't know yet, but what we do know, it's going to be a treat tonight between 2 of the top teams in the AJHL for the folks who are at the Casbin Center and also for those of you tuning in live. Nathan and I will have the call on Real Country 105.7 starting at 7:15 as the Bandits take on the Fort McMurray Oil Barons.